The demo for this month is on embellishing your products that you would turn. I'm going to show you a couple of very related and very integratable ways to do this. But first, I'm sure if you looked at any of our other videos or been to our meeting, you realize that this is not our normal ceramic. This is the Hokanson woodshop. Due to technical difficulties, we didn't get the first half of our video at Woodcraft when we had our meeting. So we're trying to reproduce it here and do the best we can to get the same information in. So welcome to our shop. This is where we spend a lot of our time, and hope you enjoy the video. To start off, I'm going to show you some of the supplies that you'll need to do this. First, let me tell you what we're doing. The embellishing a bowl or any other product that you turn can help to make a kind of a blank or not very fancy looking piece of wood into something really special. It's a technique that you'd use probably for light colored wood that doesn't have a lot of grain or doesn't have a lot of character. And when you do this, it can really liven stuff up. For example, this bowl here was just a plain wood bowl, and now it's quite pretty. So that's what we're going to be doing. And the supplies we're going to need to do that are a wood burner of some type or another. I have a couple different types to show you here. There's that one and that one. Can you see those? Can you notice me? Got those? Okay. Well, so we'll need a method to burn our design. We'll need some kind of a alcohol dye to color them, and these are the two techniques I'm going to show you. I have the alcohol dye markers. These are the only ones I've used, so I don't know whether the best ones or not. These are called brush mark, Winsor and Newton brush marker, and also liquid dyes. This is Artisan. The pens I got from a craft store, either Hobby Lobby or Michael. This came from Craft Supply USA. Also, Walnut Log Supplies sells them. I like to put them in a smaller container when I use them, so I get these little plastic wells. To go along with those, since these are alcohol markers, we need some denatured alcohol. And this is what gets used to prep the wood and also to clean your brushes and clean your dyes out if you need to. A good pencil, a good eraser. These erasers work way better than trying to use the one on the end of the pencil. Make sure it's a nice soft one, preferably go with a clean edge before you start. A little dirty. Some Scotch tape helps. Oh, and we're going to need something to finish them with when you're done. So there's a set of 3 Krylon products that I will be showing you at the end of the video. To do the practicing, I learned this technique just a few months ago at a hands-on wood shop at Nave's Sawmill down in Kingsville, Texas. That was in March. This is June. So I haven't had a lot of practice. Pretty much everything I've done so far, you're going to see before this video is over. So I'm by no means an expert, but I'm going to try and pass along what they told me. The wood burning part of it, I learned mostly from Jeff Hornum, who was doing demos there. And also the painting part was from Karen Freitas. So thanks to them both for doing that presentation. I'm really enjoying it. The two methods that I'm going to show you are one using the pen marker and the other using the liquid dye. I'm going to start with the pen. But before we can do that, we need to go back and decide what we're going to do. For the ease of demonstration, I'm going to work on a flat piece of wood rather than a bowl. It's a little bit easier for the camera. A little bit easier to show you. But you can do this on any bowl, a little plain wood bowl, a little vase you make, anything you want to make. First, we have to decide what we're going to do, and then you can freehand it if you want to. Excuse me. You can freehand it on here if you want to, but you don't have to be an artist at all to do this. And what I like to do is to find a template somewhere else. For instance, this was a cut out of one of my grandchildren's coloring books, a butterfly. That'll work. I went online and found pictures of maple leaves, and I looked it up on my tablet and turned the intensity all the way up, put this piece of paper down on top of the tablet, and very carefully traced around the edges of it. You have to do it very carefully with the tip of the pencil, because if you get too much on it, it will make the size. It's a good source for designs like this. I took a photograph, my husband took the photo, of some Mexican petunias when we were walking the mall. And this one, I made the entire picture on one piece of paper by using the iPad method. This one, I just copied from a photograph. These were roses inspired by my knockout rose bush in the backyard. So any of these will work. Or like I say, none of those if you would prefer to draw it by hand. But I'm going to show you how to, I did the template. We're going to use the maple leaf. And I have Scotch tape. Two-sided tape works even better if you have some two-sided tape, not the real aggressively sticky kind like you have in your shop probably, but the ones that don't stick too good. I don't have any of that right now. I'm going to roll a piece of Scotch tape up until it's sticky on all sides. Get on there. Then decide where I want the maple leaf on. When you're planning your design, Karen says make sure that you have at least one of your design that's not overlaid by anything else. You want one to be full and complete. And then you can take your other templates and arrange them around it if you have more, or you can take this one up and move it down. But we're going to put it down like that, hold it in place, and then we're going to draw around it with a pencil. You don't need it to be real dark. You need it to be visible. I was told at the last demo that there's actually a way to do this with a colored pencil. Use a light colored pencil, and it's easier to get off at the end. When we're all done with our burning, we need to erase the pencil mark. And he says that if you use the light colored color pencil, you can just wipe it off with a damp cloth. So I haven't had a chance to try that yet, but I will. Not real dark. Stem, but that's okay. We can add the stem in by hand. Can you see that on the camera? So I didn't get it quite all the way around. That's not critical. What's critical is that we do the wood burning all the way around. So there's a couple different kind of wood burners, like I mentioned before. When I first started doing this was the one that I used. It's got an inline temperature control. Plug it in. I like to call it a soldering iron type. It's got a skew tip on it, called a skew tip. You can see why it's like a skew. And you use it like that, and you burn your lines. This is kind of cool for one reason. It came in a kit, and it came with all of these different tips with it. So you can do shading, you can do writing with a real pointy one. There's a little tip, just a little flat piece. I have some examples of what the different points do. This top one was done with the skew tip, and this was with the other little flat pointy one. This is just the point. You can do your writing, you can do stippling with it. Then there's a leaf shape one that you can do these, and then these different shapes become made that way. So that makes this one kind of nice. But to me, it doesn't really get hot enough for what I want to do, and I have to always keep it cranked all the way up. The other thing is, you hold it back here, you've got all this distance here that is harder to control. It does work. I used it to do this bowl here, did this entire bowl with this marker. This was the first one that I did. And I love butterflies, so I cut up my book and did it. The other one that I like to use more is this one over here. It's called a Cub Writer. And we bought this one to do signing on the bottom of our bowls. It comes with a tip that's designed just for signature. And it doesn't do exactly what we want to do. on our outlining of these. But this one comes with pens. It comes with a pen for writing. If you want the ones to do designs and this sort of thing, you have to buy the entire pen, which comes like this. And these came from Razor Tip because Cub doesn't sell the ones that I need. But you can get all different shapes from Razor Tip, and you buy this little adapter and put it on here, and you can use the Razor Tip in pieces. And this one is easier for me to use because you hold it much closer to the tip and have better control over it. So this is the one that we're going to use. You don't have to turn it all the way up. It's got the temperature dial here control. And you don't have to turn it all the way up like I do on here. In fact, you don't want to. If it gets too hot, it's more difficult to work with, and it's also not good for the tip. It heats up pretty quickly. This one over here takes a long time to do that. Yeah, it's already working. When you outline this, you don't want to do a whole lot at one time. You don't want to lean real heavily because of the grain in the wood. If you lean real heavily on it, it will make polka dots because it will burn too heavy on the top parts of the grain and then jump down into the lower part because it burns well. So it's better to do little, Jeff calls it sketching, until you get the line that you want. This outlining has two purposes. One is it looks nice. It defines the edges of your design. The other thing is that you don't want the alcohol dye to run outside of your area, and when it gets into the grooves of the fibers of the wood, it will do that. It'll run right out of the boundary. And I'll show you some examples of that in a minute. I said I'm still new at this, so I'm still practicing. The other thing you have to be careful of when you do this is that you get it covered all the way around. If you don't close the circle, so to speak, the dye can get out anywhere that you haven't burned. You take your time. This isn't a real fast thing, but it isn't real slow either. I really like this technique because you don't have to be much of an artist to do it. You can find your templates anywhere you want, cut them out, copy them over. There's other ways that you can do it too, other than just flat tracing around the outside. There's some graphite paper that I bought from Craft Supply USA. You can use it like carbon paper to put down on under your design. And then if you do that, then if you have a more detailed template like this butterfly where you've got all those inside lines, it would be hard to do by hand just looking at it and pre-drawing them in there. You can actually trace them all with the graphite paper. The first time I tried that, I used carbon paper, and while carbon paper succeeded well in transferring the image, it didn't erase off well. It kind of smeared all over the place. It took a while to get it off. So I don't recommend using regular carbon paper. You get the idea. Use this Q-tip, and you just kind of turn the tip in the direction you want to go. You do it in different light. That was a little too heavy there. I got a little bit of a burn. But you do this all the way around the outside design. And I'm not going to do this whole design while you're watching because it's about as exciting to watch as watching paint dry, and we'll do that in the second half of the demo. So on the other half of this is one that I did before. So this one was colored in actually using the dye method, but you can see what I was talking about here with it running out under the edges of the burn. So I don't know if I didn't burn deep enough, if I burned too deep. I don't know what that is. I'm still working on that to try and get rid of it. This was, I guess, the first flat one that I did. The second flat one I did was this one over here. Let's see, it was this one with they call them violets on the web page I looked them up on. To me, they look like pansies, but again, you can see I had a little trouble with the purple and a little bit of green. It wasn't as bad as it was with that one, but it still happened. And then this was the latest one I did, And this one, it isn't quite as bad. I had just a little bit of underrun. So maybe I'm getting better. I'm working on it. This one was done with a combination of the marker pens, which was, I did all the flower part with the marker pens, and I did the green with the combination of pens and liquid dye. The butterfly bowl that I showed you earlier, that was done totally with the liquid dyes and the pens. And this was really fun. I had a good time with this one. So now that we've got something that's burned all the way around, only not quite, just a little spot, we're going to color this with the marker pens, and I'm going to do this one right here. I first need to mark off these, because I don't want the color from the one I'm doing to get into the one that's not outlined yet. The ones that are inside your design, where the colors aren't changing as much, like these decorations that are just the veins, those don't have to be as careful. You don't have to make them go nearly as deep. They're just there for decoration. The ones that are around the edge, you want to make sure they're going to stop your dye from going into the next area. Again, I'm trying to go over it several times with a fairly light touch each time. You can feel it going deeper. You can feel it cutting through the fibers of the wood. In fact, if it's really quiet, sometimes you can hear it. Make sure these are just about enough around here. I did this in a hurry the other day for the other demo, knowing I wasn't going to paint it right away, so I wasn't paying a real lot of attention to how deep it went. When you stack these designs, like I've tried to do here, you can create an illusion of depth or distance. Okay. Put that out of the way for the minute. You can kind of create an illusion of depth or distance. These could be either smaller leaves, or you could think of them as being further away, which is what I was going for, a little to big. This being my primary focus, because it's the entire leaf, and then this one behind it. These two were the same template. These were different ones. So now I'm going to try coloring this one right here. And to do that, I need my alcohol, which I didn't set up. What? Talking to just a camera and my cameraman husband is a little harder than talking to a whole group of people. Much to my surprise, I thought it would be much easier, but it's very difficult to talk to a camera with no feedback. I need my alcohol, and I need my alcohol Q-tips. That's what I'm missing, is my Q-tips. See if I can find some. There we go. All right, I forgot to mention these earlier. Good old run-of-the-mill, cheapy, generic Q-tips. So when we're going to do these markers, and I don't have a lot of different colors, According to Karen, it's best if you use at least 3 colors on your image. More than 3, 4 is okay. If you get it too involved, it might just get too busy looking. But 3 is a good number. I only have 6 different colors, and 2 of them are black and brown. So I'm going to try to mix these. The markers don't mix as well as if you use the regular dyes, liquid dyes. But I'm going to just do markers only for the purpose of this demo, this part of the demo. So take a little bit of alcohol on my Q-tip, and I'm going to pre-wet where I want it to be, and I see it running already under the wood burn part, so that's probably not a good sign. This is the one I did at the demo the other day. You can see there's a little bit of a run that came out of the lines here. So what color should we do this? I'm going to start going over it with yellow. I usually start with my lighter colors, because you can't cover up the dark ones with light, but you can cover up the light ones with dark. This particular type marker has one end that's pointed, and it has another end that has the broader one. If you're doing a large area, you can use the broad one. For getting into the closer places, I really prefer this part. Getting the alcohol the right amount is a trick I'm working on. If you don't get enough, it makes it really hard to blend them around. If you get too much, it runs under the edge of the writing. So we're going to do like this. Just do a little part at a time. The yellow doesn't show up real well. The lighter colors don't when you're first working on it, because the wood gets wet and gets a little bit darker, and the color's light to start with. But once it dries, it'll show up a whole lot better. Cameraman, do you have any questions? It's awfully quiet in here. I can hear the clock tick. What else can I say about this? These markers don't seem to blend quite as easily as the ones that Karen had at her demo. I don't know what brand she had. They seem to be easier to blend than what these are. But she had a very large set of colors, so you could find the color you wanted without having to blend it on your board or on your bowl. You have a nice yellow leaf. If you wanted to stop there, you could. You have a yellow leaf with a dark outline. If that's what you want, then you're done. I like to put more in it. Like I said, I like to try to get 3 colors in it. This one here had yellow and red and brown. And the yellow and red blended to make that orange. I don't have an orange marker. So we'll do this right here. I do have a brown marker, so we can make the brown stem. And I don't want that to run at all. I want it to stay in the lines. So I'm not going to put any alcohol on here first, and we'll see what happens. And that works pretty well. We have that brown stem right there. Okay. If you want to put some shadow on it, make one of those black lines a little darker, you could do that too. I'm not going to right now. But let's see. Let's just put, I'll do it kind of like this. We'll put some red around the edges, see what happens. So again, I want the fine tip for this. I'm going to put alcohol along the edge. Let's see how this works. Just do a little bit at a time. And put it on really lightly. And you can see I'm trying to avoid getting it inside the stem that belongs to that other leaf. These pointy tips are really nice. Let's try that much. Alcohol dries out very quickly, which is both an advantage and a disadvantage when you're doing this. Now, see right there, it's already coming under the edge a little bit, so got some more work to do. Either I got too much alcohol, or I didn't burn it deep enough, or something. Sometimes you can get that off. I'm going to take a clean tip here, clean cotton. I'm going to put alcohol on there, kind of a lot, and get it wet, really wet, and take one of my essential supplies. I forgot to mention my paper towels. I would be lost without them. And see if I can blot some of that color back up. I cannot, it's not coming up. So I'm really not happy about that. I don't know why it did it. It always does it at the worst opportune moments when you're trying to show someone. You've seen some of the other stuff though. It doesn't happen all the time. And if this were where the other leaf is going to be, I really wouldn't care because I'd cover it up with something from the other leaf. But since it's on the background that's supposed to stay clear, it isn't real good. Well, this one's coming out better. If I were doing this on a bowl that I'd worked really hard to turn, and it started doing this, I would work a lot harder to get it out. But since this is just practice, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. You get the idea. And it is working. It's just taking a while to do it. Okay, let's keep going. Moving right along. We're going to go to the next part, and I put so much alcohol on this part. Maybe I put too much. Just very lightly touch it. You want it a little bit wet just so you can blend it when you're done. Okay. Do that. Not quite so wet. Not go quite so close to the edge. And blend it towards the middle. Always blend from your dark to your light, because if you try to blend the light over the dark, it's not going to show. So we'll go along here a little bit further, a bit more. Sometimes I get so much color on my Q-tip, I can actually paint with that for a little while. I'm putting the alcohol on the Q-tip and then wiping a little bit of it off on my newspaper, so it doesn't be quite so runny. It does take a little time to do it. I'm being a little bit faster now than I would normally be if I was just working at home. Well, working at home, not doing a demo. But want you to see the finished product, so bear with me for a few minutes and I'll get this done. You can make your pictures as realistic or not as you want. I tend to like to make things a little more realistic, but if you like the more graphic kind of stuff, the distinct colors, distinct edges, even just black and white if you wanted to, anything goes. It's just whatever, limited by your imagination, whatever you like. Yeah, I got enough on there to actually paint my way around. So I'm getting out of my zone here. Tell me, Jim, if I get too far out. Almost done with the red, blending it into orange and into the yellow. Having a little bit better luck on this side than I did on the other side as far as it running. And I didn't really burn that part, so we're going to stop. That part right there, it needs to be burned before I go any deeper on that side. So that little peek through into the other leaf is going to have to wait until I get done with burning that part. Okay, so you can see, hopefully, it's got a red edge, it's got a yellow center, and it's got shading into orange, into the yellow in the middle. So we can put a different color on here. I have my three colors, basically. I have my orange, my red, and my yellow. But let's do something a little different. Let's pretend this leaf hasn't turned totally color yet, and we want to put just a touch of green on it. You can highlight along the ribs, the stems in there. Highlight those a little bit with some green. And see what that does. That adds just a touch of a little bit of different, something a little bit different. Sets off the veins a little bit. Adds a little bit more variety to your painting, a little bit more pizzazz if you want. And again, blend it in just a little bit, not a lot, because I want it to stay near the veins. And almost done. On that one. Okay. How does that look? You see it? That one, okay. Is that good?
Up a little bit.
Up a little, okay.
There you go.
There you go.
More.
More up?
Mm-hmm.
More up. Okay. So this was done totally with pens. We could have done a little more different color variation if I had had a few more colors. But this works okay, I think. It's similar to the first one I did. It was over here. This is the one that I did. Did I show you? This is the one that we did at the class. And this one had the dark green, a light green, a lighter green, and some yellow. This one had some orange, some yellow, and the light green. And this one had the red and the yellow and the green, and I think that was blended into orange like we just did. So pretty much reproduced what she gave us. Um, what else can I tell you about this part of it? The pens are easy to use. They're very convenient. Um, you're limited to the colors that you have and what you can blend. If you have a liquid dye, you're a lot less limited because you can mix them in whatever proportions you want before you put them on the wood. I guess that's all for this part. So join us for my next half, which will be actually 2 days ago at Woodcraft. Thank you.
So that's one technique. That's if you use the pens, and if I had more assortment of colors, I would certainly continue to do more. But there's another technique that I'm going to try on, where is it? There it is. Nope, this one. Okay. This is one with the tracing paper and the butterfly. I put the flower down earlier, so now I'm going to just try and do the butterfly, and we'll use the tracing paper and see how that works with the.
And move it over to the.
Sorry. Yes. Okay, that should get the outline. The inside part, not going to do all of these quite so detailed as what this one is. And it doesn't give us an antenna, but we'll put some antennas on it. Okay, and I'll make these. I can feel the pencil catching in the wood. I needed white when I did that butterfly bowl. So I did try using some white stain as opposed to dye. And it kind of worked, but it doesn't really mix well with the dye. As long as you just want it to be white by itself, it worked pretty well. It did kind of suck in the blue, and then put it too close to the blue, it sucked that right in. But otherwise, it did fairly well. If I wanted to put white spots on this butterfly, I would do it with the stain. It's not a water-based stain. It's a whatever they are that's not water. All right, let's see what it did. drew all over my flower that was under it, which it shouldn't have. I should have taken the flower out first. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to sketch this back in. There we go. All right. That's going to have to do. So it looks kind of like that. I'm not going to take the time to burn that one. I'm going to just do the flower. But I'm going to do it with these now so I can show you how the paints work as opposed to the others. What color flower you want?
Yellow.
Yellow? Okay. See how well it shows up. And these dyes, it tells you to mix them good before you use them, shake them up. I've discovered once you open the little bottles, they don't seal very well after that. These are the original bottles that are over here somewhere. If you buy them and they have just the little pointy caps that come off, don't shake them. They look like this. These are artisan. A big bottle, little bottle, and a square bottle, and they all do the same thing. They leak. So if you want to shake them like that, not up and down. What, you need it back?
Yeah. To your left. Put it over the flower. Put it over the flower. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. They're nice dyes, but they're crummy packaging. So I'm going to take a more or less clean Q-tip and some more or less clean alcohol. And you don't want a whole lot of alcohol on here, just a little bit to dampen it if you're using these liquid dyes, because otherwise it'll run for sure. I use a little tiny brush. That's what I like to use. Is short, so you have more control over it because it's not real floppy. And I'm just going to stir my dye up with that. It goes on quick too. This is not going to be my base coat. Should put a little bit more alcohol over here. Am I still in my square?
I got you.
Okay, now I have an undercoat of yellow. But if you've ever looked at a flower, they're not usually just pure yellow. There are some exceptions. There's usually something else in there too. So I'm going to maybe put a little bit of orange. Just kind of spread it out in there. I don't know how dark this orange is. That's a nice orange. So I'll put a little bit of orange. As I recall from the pictures that I made these from, the center was orange. Kind of came out around these dark projections. And we can blend those in. Oops. Fingerprint again. If you do this, don't do it in a hurry and wipe your fingers frequently. See if we can get that to blend in a little bit. You want to blend from the dark to the light. If you do it the other way, it's not going to go anywhere. You won't see it. You blend this way, hopefully you will see it. As long as I stay away from the edges, I can use more alcohol and bring it out a little bit better. Once you get close to the edge, you probably don't want to do that so much. I don't know if you can see, but I can see where it's already trying to run a little bit, but it's inside the flower, so it doesn't really matter a lot. Okay, how can we doctor that flower up a little bit so he's a little bit livelier? Put some more orange around the outside edges. They said these were supposed to be violets, the picture that I got them from, but they look like pansies to me. Sometimes you get so much color on the end of the Q-tip that you can use that to paint with. You can see that this dye will last a long time. You use so little of it at any one time. Usually, if I'm doing flowers, I like to put some green in it. I didn't put it in this one, but I would probably do it like I did on these. Put some kind of green just to offset the... That's just my preference. There's no rules on that for sure. Let's see. I don't know if I can make some of this yellow be darker or not. It was pretty dark to start with for yellow. Some of it with yellow and the lighter colors you won't see until it dries. Since I want it to be dark, and not real spread out. I'm not putting the alcohol on first. I'm just putting the yellow direct. And then those little things that stick up in the middle were supposed to be white, I think, in the original picture, or basically white. Again, I don't really have a good white, but I did buy this white tip marker. It doesn't do much, but let's see if it will do anything that we can even see. I can see it make the board wet, so I know that there's something in there. We'll just do it like that. I got yellow coming out over there. I would be doing this more carefully at home, taking a little more time, but I don't want to take that much time here. Anyway, that's kind of an idea of what you can do with it. I would probably mess with it a little bit more at home, and I would have kept my hands cleaner. Here's the other one. You can pass all these around if you want to. You're just too slow. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. I try to do I do all of my burning before the dye. Like just now, when I erased it, I realized I had missed one that I had drawn with a pencil, so I'll do that before I do the dye too. I don't... The one that I'm coloring, I make sure that all of that's done. Like some of these, I colored one before I've even done the others, but that's because they're not overlapping really. They're unique areas. But yeah, I would do all of the wood burning first.
Finish over that.
Yes, that's the last step. Once you get it the way you want it, these are what the lady told me to use. She said Krylon finishes, so I'm assuming this is what she meant. She said use the first thing you put on it is a fixative. Do we have a fixative? Where is it? A fixative. It's. Oh, I looked up there, but I wasn't on the square. There, okay. This you spray over it, and it's supposed to keep it from the paints from running, the dyes from running when you put the rest of the finish on. Because otherwise, if you just were to put a regular finish on it, yes, exactly, it'll do that. So this is supposed to stop it from doing that. It also says you can rework over it, although I have never tried that. I don't know if they're talking about dyes on wood or other mediums, but that one is the first one you put on it. She says 3 coats of that, and I put it on really lightly. I usually have a hard time with spray finishes, so I'm trying to get to where I can do them evenly without drips and bare spots and stuff. But 3 coats of the fixative, and then the next thing you put on is the finish. This is satin. I think you can get it in gloss too, but this one's satin. 3 coats of that, and then the last thing you do is the UV resistance. 3 coats of that, so it's just 3, 3, 3.
Just a little bit of that. There you go.
There? Okay. So this isn't really an ad for Krylon, but that's what she said to use. And when I went to she just gave me a name, and when I went to the store and looked, I found Krylon. So I guess this was the right thing. It seems to work. The little square boards, none of those are finished, but all of the bowls have been finished with this. And she said you can buff it when you're done. It holds it pretty well. I put more than 3 coats of the finish on my bowls. Don't know if you had to, but like I said, I have trouble with sprays. They tend to drip and not be even, and so I kind of have to rub them down and respray them. So when I get better at sprayed finishes, probably 3 coats will be fine. Oh, I guess that's pretty much everything. Any questions? Thank you. Appreciate your patience. It's there's a lot of watching paint dry, literally. So